Richard Croft scoffed at fear, laughed at superstition. A veteran of countless underwater expeditions, he had stared into the abyss and emerged unscathed. He was a man of science, trusting only the tangible, the provable. Yet, standing at the precipice of this unexplored cavern, a shiver crawled down his spine. The entrance gaped open like a maw, swallowing the turquoise waters of the Caribbean. Locals, eyes wide with terror, called it the cave that breathes. They spoke of ancient evils lurking within, of sacrifices offered to appease the darkness. Croft dismissed their tales as folklore, but the unease lingered. He checked his equipment one last time, a ritualistic act to ward off the creeping doubt. The sun beat down, a stark contrast to the chilling blackness that awaited. Taking a deep breath, Croft plunged into the water, the sunlight fading above as he descended deeper into the unknown. As Croft descended, the sunlight above dwindled into an ethereal blue glow. The water, crystal clear moments ago, grew murky, filled with a strange luminescence that emanated from the cave walls. The deeper he went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The silence, broken only by the hiss of his own breathing, was almost deafening. He switched on his headlamp, the beam cutting through the oppressive gloom. The walls were unlike any he had encountered before, not rock but a strange, fleshy substance that pulsed with a life of its own. It was unsettling to say the least, like diving into the belly of a monstrous creature. Faint sounds began to filter through the water, whispers and murmurs that sent chills down his spine. He paused, straining to identify the source. Were they echoes of the sea, or something far more sinister? Driven by a morbid curiosity, Croft continued his descent. The cave narrowed, the fleshy walls closing in on him. His heart hammered against his ribs, each pulse echoing the rhythm of the whispers that grew steadily louder. He felt a primal fear gripping him, whispering of ancient horrors best left undisturbed. The tunnel opened into a vast cavern, its ceiling disappearing into the black abyss. The luminescence here was stronger, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the pulsating walls. In the center of the cavern, Croft noticed a structure, an altar of sorts, formed from the same fleshy material as the cave walls. On its surface lay offerings, bones, trinkets, and objects he couldn't quite make out in the dim light. A wave of nausea washed over him. This was no ordinary cave. It was a shrine, a place of worship for something ancient and evil. As Croft approached the altar, the whispers intensified, morphing into rasping breaths that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. The fleshy substance around him pulsed with an eerie rhythm, like a giant lung expanding and contracting. The cave was alive, he realized, a terrifying thought that sent adrenaline surging through his veins. Suddenly, the fleshy walls around him constricted, squeezing him in a vice-like grip. He struggled against the pressure, his heart pounding in his ears. Panic welled up, threatening to consume him. His air supply, he realized with a jolt, was dwindling rapidly. With a surge of desperation, he pushed against the fleshy wall, his gloved hands sinking into the yielding surface. To his horror, it felt warm, almost human. A strangled cry escaped his lips as he tore himself free and kicked back towards the tunnel. Panic lent speed to his movements as he navigated the narrow tunnel, the rasping breaths of the cave echoing behind him. He burst back into the previous chamber, his headlamp illuminating a scene that sent shivers down his spine. The fleshy walls here were pulsating even more violently, the whispers reaching a fever pitch. He found himself in a large chamber, its floor carpeted with a thick pulsating mass. It was a grotesque tapestry of flesh interwoven with veins and arteries that pulsed with a sickening rhythm. The air was thick with the metallic tang of blood. As he watched in horrified fascination, a section of the fleshy floor bulged upwards, like a monstrous blister about to burst. He knew he had to escape, knew that whatever lay beneath that pulsating flesh was not meant for human eyes.